Hello and welcome, everyone. This week's group coaching is what's really causing your stress. I'm Erleen Tilton, and I'm glad to be with you here today. So I want to first talk about some of the common list of stressors today. I think it's kind of interesting in what they tell us as our common stressors: financial problems, work, too much responsibility, on overload, overwhelmed, a risk of losing a job, personal relationships, parenting, daily life, and busyness. We have so much going in today's world. Personality and resources, depression, anxiety, and mental disorders, which can cause stress, and these can create stress. So this is kind of a two-way street with this one. So I find this list very interesting because it always takes me back to what happened to our grandparents. And our parents, did they not have any of these issues? Now, I go back to my grandparents in basically the 1920s. They had major financial problems because I remember them telling stories of how they would buy their land with maybe 5 other persons. And when it came to the end of the year, those payments were due. And if you didn't make your payment, you, as well as all these other 5 persons, might lose your land. And that was a huge stress to them back then. They definitely had a lot of financial issues. I remember my mom talking about eating beans for months because my dad was laid off. And she says, I just long to eat something else besides beans. So financial problems was a real worry to these people back then. You talk about work and too much responsibility or the stress of this. I also remember my mom talking about them going out into the cotton fields and working the entire day out in the sun, picking cotton. Their fingers were bleeding. They were tired. They were sunburned. And yet they did this day in and day out during the summer for 25 cents a day. Now, again, that's stressful, I would think. So personal relationships, yes, back in my parents' and grandparents' time, there were still divorces. There were still anger issues. There were still problems. Parenting wasn't a whole lot easier back then either. They had their vices. They had their problems with children, just as we do today. Life and busyness, maybe not quite so busy as today for us, but they were working a garden. They were working out in the fields. They were also doing their daily works and responsibility and making every type of food that they ate, literally. So their personalities and resources could have been very similar, but depression, anxiety, and mental disorders, yes, definitely prevalent. However, today that is probably quadrupled or even more. And we've got to ask ourselves, why? Why is there more depression, anxiety, and mental disorders? Because this is the real question that we want to look at today, because this is what is creating the stress that we have. And it goes back to those emotional, mental imbalances. So I want to first say that this is what you're not going to hear from many medical professionals out there. And the reason I say this, I am not bashing our medical professionals at all, but I do like to help people understand they go to school to learn how to diagnose and treat symptoms. That's it. And they treat those symptoms with pharmaceuticals, which are synthetics. They are foreign to your body. Their whole 8 years of schooling is spent in doing this. They do what they are taught to do. They do their job. That's what they're trained to do. So they're not trained to get to the root cause of problems. They're not trained in what your body really needs. If they get that training, it's outside of that 8 years of schooling. And many are able to do that. But let's go into really what some of these root causes are. So number one is actually lack of adequate nutrition. So if you stop and think about it, when the foods you eat lack nutrition, this is what your cells and your organs must have. It's not an option. They must have this in order to function optimally. And if you are not supplying those nutrients through your diet, through your supplements, basically it stresses your gut. Your gut has to rob these nutrients from other body parts. Additionally, when your body is bombarded with foods and drinks that include a lot of chemicals and stimulants, basically this is another huge stress on your gut because it cannot assimilate, process, or discard any of these synthetics without stress on your system. So we have to understand that this is the number one stressor: lack of nutrition and too many chemicals and stimulants that are really causing the stresses that we have. So I like this Dr. Jennifer Craker from New York. She's actually a psychiatrist who specializes in nutrition and mental health. Here's what she says: optimal mental health requires adequate availability and absorption of vitamins, minerals, and amino and fatty acids as essential building blocks for our brain cells and neurotransmitters. When our nutritional biochemistry is imbalanced, our mental health is affected. So I totally believe that this is really where it starts. And it creates not only those emotional and mental imbalances, but it definitely causes stress. So what to do about this? First of all, we've got to eat a good whole foods diet. People look at me and say sometimes they don't know what a whole foods diet, but anything in it's a whole food form. You can see that picture on the left is really the whole foods. Prepare them in different ways, yes, for sure, but start with the real whole foods. This is where you're going to get the balanced nutrition as well as healthy fats, healthy proteins, healthy fiber, and all those nutrient-dense foods. I always encourage eating more organic foods, definitely, because you don't have all those pesticides, herbicides, all those chemicals in the growing process. And to me, that's super important too. We don't want to include those in our foods. Getting good balanced supplements. Again, I talk to people, I've talked to several people this week, and still people are telling me they're not taking a balanced vitamin mineral supplement. Now, this Lifelong Vitality at the bottom left here also includes the antioxidants as well as your omegas. All of these are super, super important on a daily basis to nourish and feed and strengthen your cells and organs. This is why these have been so beneficial. In the middle, we want to make sure that we're cleansing daily with water, good pure water. And adding that lemon essential oil actually accelerates the cleansing process. And then on the right, this is why I'm such a proponent of 30-day Activate, Cleanse, and Renew program, simply because this really resets your gut. I really encourage people to start this with a minimum 90 days. That means you do it 3 times. And this is what really does reset your gut. So this is something that can really help get your body back in order. And this is what I do to help people. So please reach out if you need more information on this. But this will really help reset your gut and help you to get the adequate nutrition you need and not get all those synthetic chemicals that are prevalent in our fast foods. Number 2 is lack of sleep. So we know that getting enough sleep is vital, but most people are just not doing it today. But like a battery, this is the way we recharge. We need to recharge our bodies for the next day. And that's why sleep is so important. And I'm one that says you really need that 8 hours of sleep. We need to get that. But why don't people get that 8 hours? Well, it's not a priority. There's too much screen time they spend, and then they simply just don't go to bed 8 hours plus before they need to get up. So they're going to bed at midnight, even though they have to get up at 5 a.m. Well, you're not giving your body time to even rest for that 8-hour period, 7 hours minimum. So, and then there's other psychological factors that actually can prevent sleep. And that goes back to, again, what I mentioned earlier. So what we can do daily is make sleep a priority, go to bed 8 to 9 hours before you need to wake up, get off your electronics 1 to 2 hours prior to bedtime, read a book or listen to music before bedtime. Take supplements, eat good, nutritious foods, and drink clean water. These are super, super important to support your brain, as I mentioned, so that you can sleep well. And I might mention that my own daughter, who always had trouble sleeping as a teenager and into her 20s, she did everything to get a better night's sleep. She started off with this 3 set of supplements, the Lifelong Vitality Pack, and immediately she began sleeping through the night. So her body was basically starving of nutrition. Even though she thought she was eating pretty good, there were things that her body was lacking, and this really helped her to be able to sleep well. So don't eat within 3 hours of sleep time. Your body, your digestive system also needs to rest. Make sure you're exercising during the day. Apply calming essential oils to the back of your neck or bottoms of your feet before you go to bed. Now, I find that I do this every night religiously. Serenity is my go-to, and I apply it right on the back of my neck, and then I swipe it under my nose. It really helps me. And I heard Dr. Hill say that everyone needs a good night's rest, not just those with insomnia. And I thought, you know what, that's good enough for me. We all need a good night's rest. So to me, that's really, really important. Vetiver is very grounding. It's a very grounding blend. Wild orange is actually a de-stressor oil, specific. So while it's very elevating, it's also lowering stress. So sometimes people find the best results with that. Now, we have many other essential oils that actually can help you fall asleep. So sometimes it's a trial and error thing. You want to figure out what will work best for you. Number 3 is lack of exercise. Like we went over last week, your body is actually designed to be active in the day, then rest at night. Most of those things must happen. And most people aren't active enough in the day to give your body the need to relax at night. Next, your body is designed to eat calories. You need to burn them for your fuel. Most of these also must happen in a day. And that's why I say you need to schedule exercise every single day. That's super, super important. It's one of your body's needs. And we normally are not getting enough exercise. But our mental and emotional health is greatly improved with daily exercise. And I tell people, the next time you feel stressed out, get outside and go for a walk. It's amazing what that will do to just completely eliminate your stress. People go for the meds. They go for this and that and the other, the energy drinks, whatever. And that's the worst thing you can do. First of all, schedule active exercise segments throughout the day. And if you can't do it all at once, that's okay. Do the stairs, if you have stairs, 10 sets in the morning, and then maybe in the afternoon. do something different in the evening, get on the mini trampoline or whatever it is, but find a way to exercise at 30 to 60 minutes daily. And then vary your routines, even on a daily basis. You don't have to do one thing. Vary it, and you can do that throughout your day. Actually, studies show that we do better to vary it and have several segments during the day. So I'm not only asking you to do it once a day, but think of ways that you can do it several times a day. Like I said, go out in the morning, do some stairs, do some just workouts or ways to strengthen your muscles through yoga. Find some workout videos if you don't have a gym membership. Many of us don't. And maybe even going swimming or jump on a mini trampoline. There's so many things that you can do. And instead of that being couch potato, that's when you can exercise. I always say, instead of sitting down and getting on your phone, relaxing on the sofa, get up and exercise. Find a way to do that, even if you are still watching something, even on your laptop or the television, or listen to books on tape. Those are really great ways to utilize this time, but I feel like I'm killing two birds with one stone. If I'm tempted or want to do that, I can be exercising or working or doing something while I am listening or watching something. Now, number 4 is too much screen time. Spending long hours staring at a screen really takes a toll on your body, creates stress in your eyes. So Dr. Matassa Swade, she's a board-certified psychiatrist, said, too much screen time not only strains your eyes and dries them out, but it can also lead to stress on the retina, and it affects visual acuity. I thought that was interesting. The blue light emitted from your screen interferes with the production of melatonin, which is a sleep hormone. Using devices before bedtime especially makes it difficult to fall asleep. So what to do daily? First of all, this picture just blows me away, how everyone seems to be on their screens. And I find that children are going to be experiencing major amounts of stress due to the amount of screen time that they're spending. So distance yourself from other screen users. Don't put your phone in your pocket or your bras throughout the day. That's one of the worst things you can do, because that really is creating more stress on your body with those frequencies. Use wired headsets, not wireless. Another study showed that the wireless actually puts about an additional 60% stress on your brain. That is amazing. So when you are taking pics or videos, actually put your phone in airplane mode. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a great idea. Get off your phone, computer, and television 1 to 2 hours before bedtime, and schedule quiet time for yourself during the day, out in nature, away from electronics. We are so glued to electronics. This is important to really schedule some time away. So in summary, just don't stress out. There's ways that you don't have to stress out. First of all, start with what you're eating. Get some good supplements. Make sure you're taking time to rest and sleep, and hopefully get that 8 hours in. Take some essential oils before bedtime that will actually diminish your stress, as well as help you calm and relax. And actually, both of those are good to use in the day as well. Serenity can calm anxious feelings, stressful feelings, and so can wild orange. So these are really, really important. Find time out in nature, read a book. Let's go back to doing some of the things that our ancestors used to do, but take time out for yourself. Minimize that screen time and don't overload your schedule. If you have any questions, I want to make sure and take time out for those. But I also want to suggest right here to book a call with me. Here is my email address. but leave your full name and cell phone number. But if you haven't yet taken that wellness assessment, I really invite you to do that. It's free. Just go online at that link, happygutfoodie.com/WA. Take that wellness assessment, book a calendar appointment with me, and then let's see if we can get to the bottom of maybe some of the specific challenges that you are having.